Paul Ryan, I didn't see the story until today. I think it's a pretty big story. He did an interview with the WCPO in Ohio following an Associated Press story that indicated they had 4 letters indicating that he had specifically sought stimulus funds for his district, while at the same time, of course, stomping around, screaming at the top of his lungs that the stimulus was, quote, a wasteful spending spree.
Right.
No, he says, I never asked for stimulus. But Ryan's statement directly counters the evidence of 4 letters obtained by the liberal Associated Press, which the congressman wrote to Energy Secretary Stephen Chu, praising energy programs supported by the stimulus and requesting funds for initiatives in his district.
Right.
So it's not only the stimulus, but it's a stimulus for those wasteful green energy programs.
Right, and not to mention also, he's gone to the Energy Department for loans. Their campaign has criticized in Solyndra the entire Energy Department loan program of late, and citing Solyndra, which, by the way, of all the loans the Energy Department made, 1.3% of those loans were bad loans.
1.3%.
Yeah,
98%, 98.7%
were good loans.
successful.
Yeah, successful, got money back. Solyndra was a failure, and it wasn't good, and it was there may be other things associated with it. But the point is, that's a successful program. But Ryan then goes further in talking about the bailout. He said that he thought that he went to the Energy Department because Energy Department money was fine. He wanted the Energy Department bill money in the House bill. And so he's denying all these things which are fact. I don't get it.
The statement directly counters the evidence of those 4 letters that he wrote to Stephen Chu, his private praise for the Department of Energy programs, which is in those letters, of course, and his written request for stimulus funds contradict not only his public criticism of the stimulus bill from '09, but also many of the budget priorities he's laid out in his budget, called the Ryan budget, including cuts to investments in green technologies, because that's what he's asking for here. Also, a Boston Globe report 2010, after writing several letters to federal departments requesting funds for his districts. He was on a talk show on WBZ, Nightside, with Dan Ree.
Oh.
Yeah, you know that show.
He
said, this is great, he would never vote against the stimulus, quote, and then write to the government to ask them to send us money. I would never criticize the stimulus bill, vote against it, then write to the government and ask us to send us money, ask them to send us money. That's exactly what he's done.
He fell off that position.
So last night, or yesterday, he gets asked by WCPO in Ohio about that. That's clip 2, the first thing you'll hear.
This wasn't Nightside, though.
This was not Nightside with Dan Ray. No, that's in Boston.
Right.
This is campaigning in Ohio. This is clip 2. You'll hear the reporter's question first.
You had asked for stimulus money for your district. Is that accurate?
No,
is that report
I never
accurate?
asked for stimulus. I don't recall that. I haven't seen this report, so I really can't comment on it. I oppose the stimulus because it doesn't work. It didn't work.
So he hadn't seen the report, but then, of course, later in the day, he saw the report, which included the letters, and he has changed his tune. Here's what he has to say. This is graphic 6. This is Paul Ryan, very late last night. This came out at about midnight last night. After having these letters called to my attention, I checked into them, and they were treated as constituent service requests in the same way matters involving Social Security or Veterans Affairs are handled. So I didn't do it. It's my constituents' fault.
Right. Well, as a congressman, like as if he, ask some people, Democratic Congress people, I'm sure, people who supported, and the Republicans who supported the stimulus, probably thought that was constituent services too. I am supporting an economic stimulus to help my constituents.
Every part of the stimulus bill is for your constituents.
Yeah.
What do they think what do you think the money's for?
And he thinks somehow going back to the Energy Department, that the semantics of, well, I asked the Energy Department for it, make it different than asking for the stimulus
One more
itself,
time on graphic 6. So after having the letters called to my attention, he checks into them. They were treated the same as constituent services like Social Security, Veterans Affairs. So he really is saying, yeah, I checked in it, I did it, but really it's just my greedy constituents who wanted the money.
Right.
It's just those bastards. They're always sucking from me. They always want more. What part of the stimulus bill that gave money to a state wasn't a constituent service? Every dollar that goes to the state in some capacity benefited someone's constituent.
Of course it did.
I mean,
it benefited them so much that some of them even got jobs because of it.
Yeah, and then they get a lot of money. They went out and they hired a lot of people to build stuff. That's the whole point of it. So I don't quite see why this isn't an enormously huge deal. That the Tea Party, the darling of the Tea Party, the intellectual voice of the Tea Party, which is made up just because he's not Sarah Palin and
Right.
he's, can put together a thought. So here he is taking federal funds, asking for them, writing letters, which, by the way, is responsible of him.
But Ben, he's doing the same dance on the auto bailout too. He's doing the same thing. He said, well, I wasn't really for the auto bailout. I supported a bill in the House that was an alternative bill that used Energy Department money. But he was for the auto bailout. He supported the auto bailout. He has even said that he did. It's a difference between he and Romney, sort of.
It's such a great thing. He supported the auto bailout, which was great and should help him. Romney had this visionary state-run healthcare system, which should help him. And they both have to pretend like they didn't do it.
No.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and here, a guy like Paul Ryan's like, yeah, we were in a terrible spot. I don't think that the government is the solution to our problems, but we needed to stimulate the economy in this dark, terrible, when we're facing perhaps a depression in this deep recession. So yeah, and I, of course, wanted to make sure that my constituents got part of that, so I lobbied for some of that money. Right? I mean, that's like what a responsible Republican in 25 years ago would have said. That said, now we've got to get the private sector to do this, because if we let the government do it too much, they'll get too big and it'll get unwieldy. As an argument I could perhaps in some point in my life maybe be persuaded by, but that argument doesn't exist.
First of all, you could never be persuaded by it, because I know you, and you would never be persuaded by that argument. But the big point is the contradictory part of it, which is that Romney says he was against the auto bailout. He wrote an op-ed against it. He's running with someone who says that he was for it, but now is saying, well, I wasn't exactly for it. And as you said with Romney with the health care, Ryan voted against it. Romney did it, invented it.
Right.
And they're both running from these things that were really successes of the country, that made the country better.
Because of the weird way the Republican Party is. No, what I'm saying is that if there was really a Republican Party where the conservative wing of the Republican Party were run by Bob Dole, and there were guys like Nelson Rockefeller and Lowell Weicker, then yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd think, no, right, to a point, but then the private sector has to. I mean, I could be persuaded to that, I guess, at some point.
Well, there was that once.
Really, there was that once, right? I was for.
Yeah, but you still thought Bob Dole was crazy, so that's the problem.
Still like the Democrats, yeah.